Hey everybody, welcome back to Creating Scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator using free resources. Came across a new resource and it's free. And in my opinion, this add-on is going to revolutionize how some of us, not everybody, is going to use Blender for making their models for Flight Simulator. I did a video a while back on using CAD functions, and there was a lot of hoops that you had to go through to make it more CAD oriented. I believe this tool is going to supersede that tool, and this is going to be probably the best CAD environment for Blender. But it's up to us to help those developers make it even better. All right. The product is called Cad Sketcher. There's a link in the description on how to get it, but it will take you to their Gumroad, and their price tag is $0. However, you can donate to those developers so they can make it better. But if you don't want to begin with, that's fine. You can enter a 0 in this dollar tag right here, and then this button will say, the first time that you do it, it'll say I want this. So click I want this, and it will download a zip file to your machine. Okay, I do recommend that you do donate to them. So give them some bucks, 5, 10, 15, 20, doesn't matter. It's what value it is to you, okay? But help them out. So click I want this, and you'll get your zip. And just like any other new add-on for Blender, don't extract the zip file. Leave it in its zip format. And go to Edit, Preferences in Blender. Go to Install. Find the zip file. Click on it and hit Install Add-on. And you will get the Cad Sketcher show up. Click the check mark to enable it. Now, one more thing that you have to do to get it to work is down here in the preferences, you're going to see solver module. It will say unregistered, and you'll have a button down at the bottom of that says install from pip. Click install from pip, and this box should change to kind of like what mine looks like, except your path will be different. Okay, if it doesn't change, do a save preferences, hit the X, exit out of Blender and come back in. Then go back into edit preferences, and you'll see that this solver module looks registered. Okay, then you can scroll down and you can change some of the settings of the add-on, such as the precision, number of decimal places in dimensions and stuff like that. You can click on any of these colors and change the color using the color wheel. Okay, and then X to get out of the preferences. To see if you have it up, come over here, click the arrow to bring up your tools, or hit N on the keyboard, and you should have a Sketcher tab. All right, so let's do some basics. Let's delete our default cube, and let's add a new sketch. And that's what we are working with, is sketches. We're not creating objects yet, all right? We're creating sketches of an object. And sketches are oriented on different axes. All right, so here we have the horizontal, and then we have 2 vertical. All right, our example, we're going to work on the horizontal. So I click the axis that I want to begin on, and we are in sketch mode. You'll know that you're in sketch mode because this will say leave sketch. All right. Now we are going to come down to our new tools that we have down here, and we're going to add a square or a rectangle. All right, and I'm going to left click, drag, and not left click and then left click to make my box. Okay. These little cyan symbols are telling me that this edge, these four edges have constraints to them. This constraint is horizontal, this one's vertical. All right. In the 2D world, this would be, in this particular case, this y-axis is the horizontal and the x is the vertical. Okay. If I select the solver space selection tool and I select one of those faces and then I left drag, I can move it in that direction, that horizontal direction, but I can't move it in the vertical direction. Okay. If I select this one, I don't want that one. If I select this one and drag it, I can only move it in this direction because there's a constraint tied to it. Okay. Now you can hover over and delete the constraint if you wanted to, and then you can move that line in any direction. All right. But that's what those little tags are tells you what kind of a constraint is tied to the line. Okay. Now let's without anything selected, let's add a distance. Okay, and let's select this point, and it puts the distance of whatever you clicked on. All right, so it's made this, when we first made it, it made it 6.7 meters wide. Now, if you click, hold down that click button, you'll get the dialog box and you can change that distance. So now it's 5 meters. All right, you could, and same way with this. If I do a distance and click here and click here and then click our 6.8 and let's change that to 5. So now we have a 5 by 5 meters square. All right, but you notice it's not centered. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to create a line. Click in the line tool and click this point. Oops, we're going to click this point. Maybe. How come? All right, let's try this again. There we go. I'm going to click and click. So now I have a line that goes from this point to this point. I'm going to select that. Whoops, right click to stop doing that. Go to my select tool. Select that new line that I added. I'm going to right click and I'm going to turn that into, I'm right clicking, I'm going to turn that into a construction line. So it's dotted. Now I'm going to go back to our solver space origin, click it, and I'm going to come over here to my constraints and I'm going to add a midpoint constraint. That means it's going to find the midpoint of this line and snap it to this point. It has just moved our square to that area. Okay, so that is easily done, right? Now we want to convert this square into a cube. All right, let's say we did some measuring, maybe we're doing some wall layouts or something like that. Now, all you need to do is come over here to convert type and change that to a mesh. And then leave sketch. Now we have a 3D, we have a face, just like we would in Blender. And we can act on this face like we would do any other object in Blender. So I'm going to go to the select tool, select the face, and I'm going to add a modifier to it. Solidify Modifier, and I'm going to go in the positive direction. And I'm going to make that 5 meters. So we just did a 5-meter solidify. All right. Now what I want to do is I'm going to add another modifier to it. I'm going to add a bevel. And so I'm going to come over here, choose a bevel modifier to bevel my edges. And let's make our modifier, let's make that 0.5. All right, so they're pretty good sized bevels. All right, now here's a cool tool. Okay, so let's go back into, let's not select our object here. All right, now down here there is a work plane tool, and let's say we want to start adding an object that is even with, that follows the orientation of this face. All right, so we're going to add a new work plane selection. Remember, when we first did our object, we only had 3. We had the horizontal and then we had 2 verticals, right? We're going to add a new one that's at the angle of this face. So I'm going to click on the add work plane on mesh. Now if I hold that down, I can add one manually, okay? But we're going to add based on a face, and I'm going to select the face. And notice that it makes a new work plane that follows that face, right? Now we're going to go to add a new sketch. And notice I get the default planes and our new plane. All right, so I'm going to select our new plane. Click. Now any object that I add or any sketch that I do is going to be oriented to this face. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a circle. And I'm going to click here and I'm going to add a circle. All right, like that. And you notice that is at the same angle as that face. All right. Now let's come over here and convert that sketch that we just did into a mesh. All right, and then leave sketch. And then I'm going to use the select tool and select that new 3D that new mesh that we just created. And I'm going to add a modifier to it. Modifier to it. We're going to solidify that. And we're going to make that 2. All right. So our modifier's like this. All right. But I want to offset that at 0. All right. But I want to try to make this, I want to make this a little bigger. All right, so let's call this 5. Okay. And let's say that there's a hole, and I'm not going to make it go all the way through, but you can if you want to. All right. So I have this new object right here, this new cylinder that runs at that angle of that face that our work plane is set to, right? Okay. Now let's add a Boolean modifier to it, okay, to subtract these 2 entities from each other. All right. So I'm going to select this tool. I'm going to select the cube. And I'm going to hit the control minus. Oh, didn't tell you about this tool. The control minus, in order for you to do a Boolean subtract like I just did using the control minus, you need to go to Edit, Preferences, and add in the bool tool. Okay, so type in search bool, and you should have an object bool tool. If you enable that, okay, you'll be able to use the control minus to select your 2 objects and do a control minus and it will automatically apply the Boolean modifier. Okay, so if you come down here to our modify stack, notice that there's a Boolean modifier down here that does the difference of the two objects. All right, if I did a control plus, it would add the two geometries together. All right, so just know that to use the shortcut control minus, you have to enable the Bool tool in Blender. All right, so we did a simple model here. Okay, they're both meshes. Okay, and I believe we can turn that off there. All right, so that is just one instance of using the Cad Sketcher. I'm going to show you some others, so hold on and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's turn off our sketch 1 and let's add in a new sketch. So I'm going to add sketch, and just like always, you get the default planes. All right, now I don't have that new fault plane that I created because I have them turned off. All right, that's why we're not getting the diagonal one. All right, but let's choose this horizontal plane. All right, so we're creating sketch 2 here. And what we're going to do is we're simply going to select the line tool, and I'm going to make a line from here to there, right click to stop. Okay, and then I'm going to make a line from here and kind of angle it down like that, right click to stop. And then so I have two lines that would actually converge out to this point here. But what we're going to do is we want to add in a curve that connects these 2 points. All right, so what I'm going to do is hit the curve tool or the arc tool, and I'm going to click the center, and I'm going to click this point, and I'm going to click this point. All right, so it adds a arc between those 2 points. All right, then I have we'll come back down to this one, but if you'll notice, they are not tangent. This arc is not tangent to this line, and this arc is not tangent to this line. All right, if I want to add the tangencies, I would select this, right click, do my select tool, select this line, and select my arc, and come over here and select tangent, and it makes this tangent to this line now. All right, now is it tangent here and here? Select these two, do another tangent, and it makes this arc now as tangent to this line and this line. Okay, now what you can do is, let's say we do an arc, click and create an arc like this. All right, now what has not been put into this add-on yet is I can't add an arc like this and then simply choose these 2 lines and merge those together. That has not been completed yet in this add-on. All right, so just know, in order to create a tangent curve between these two, you have to actually use these 2 lines themselves. So let me do a Control Z and get rid of that. Come down here and do another arc, click this, and then click that. All right, just like that. But we want, go to our selection tool, choose this entity and this one, and do another tangent. And notice that it's tangent with this line, but it's not tangent with this line. So we'll do, select that one and do tangent there. So now we have 2 arcs that are tangent, right? Now we can simply, and that's what these symbols mean, tangent. So there's 2 tangents associated with each one of these entities. All right. Now, if we wanted to make a 3D model of this shape, we'd simply just convert to mesh and then leave the sketch, and it creates the face. Select the face, and you can go into edit mode, tab, and go to face mode, select all, and then we can extrude using the E, and you get your object. All right. So just a rough overhead of the Cad Sketcher, and we will be playing with a lot more of these tools. For instance, here's the parallel tool, and let's get out of edit mode and let's add a new sketch. Choose the horizontal plane, and I'm going to add a line. Click and click, right click to stop. All right, and then I'm going to add a new line from here to here. Okay, let's say I want these two lines to be parallel, right? So I'm going to do the solver select tool, select those two lines, and put a parallel constraint to them. So now those two lines are parallel. All right. Now, ratio, we can select the tool, select the two, and type in a ratio. Ratio. There it is. Whoops. Let's Control Z there for a second, and let's do ratio again. Oh, I did it wrong again. So let's do our select. Let's select this one and this one. Do ratio, and then open up the ratio tool, and I want it to be 0.5. So this first line that we selected is half of this line. All right, so we use the ratio tool to define our entity. All right, so like I said, Cad Sketch is new. It's still in development, and they're adding more functionality to it all the time. So download it and send them feedback. All right, just like we do for Microsoft Flight Simulator or any other add-on, even Blender itself. Give the developers feedback so they can make this tool do more and more. All right, so in future videos, we're going to be using more of these tools when we're making our models, but I think that you're going to start loving the Cad Sketcher add-on for Blender. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new. Go ahead and download Cad Sketcher, donate to them, and give them feedback so we can make this product even better. If you haven't, please subscribe. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. That'd be great. You'd be helping me out. Share the video, get the word out on Cad Sketcher. I think you're really going to like the product. And if you feel inclined to support me, buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld. You guys are fantastic. You've been blessing me on beyond my belief, and I really appreciate it. Please subscribe, and I will see you next week when we start doing some more tutorials. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. See you later.